So we're talking with Calvin Powitsky. Hi, Calvin. How are you this morning?
Hello, Tim. How are you?
Fine. And we're talking with Danny Brewster. Hi, Danny.
Hi, Tim.
And both of you are architects with Bay Architecture out of Houston, Texas. So, Calvin, I'll kind of start with you because this is something that's actually interested me a lot about school design and how schools are, how we are modifying schools for today's learners. Can you kind of address that? How your company, what do you do to modify these new schools to meet the needs of today's learners?
Well, I think the very interesting part of it is getting educators to understand how children learn, how kids learn, and having visioning sessions with educators that are willing to change the way they deliver instruction. So then you get into a wide range of spaces needed to meet the needs of that new delivery of instruction, new learning methods, with technology. Some technology people just replace with the old ways of doing things. The kids still not getting it.
Right, right.
Just, you know, it's not using technology the way it really could be used and the way they learn today. So we're seeing a whole lot more flexible space. Schools
define flexible space. What does that mean?
One thing it means is building a school that the shell is a hard shell and very energy efficient, a lot of natural light, but the guts of it, the interior spaces, can be cheaply and easily reconfigured through the years as programs change, as flex spaces are needed to be larger or smaller, more individualized, and so that means office buildings like that. Office buildings is one big shell, and the interiors are just metal.
Just move the walls around. Yeah,
and
sure.
We have to do it all the time. Every time a new tenant comes in, that's what a school ought to be. And we're seeing a whole lot of individual spaces for kids to learn in different ways. You have kids have modalities in learning that are totally different than we've realized.
Than we're used
Maybe
to.
the same way we learn, but now we're realizing how many different ways. With Gardner's 7 frames of mind and those kind of issues, you know, I learn visually. I don't learn necessarily by listening to lectures. I want to learn visually by reading and by feeling.
And by watching cool podcasts like this one, right? Yeah, there you go.
Excellent. Cool. Yeah, a building's nothing more than a tool.
Right, right.
A tool that has to be designed the way the educator wants it and the kids want it.
Okay, so Danny, let's talk a little bit now. In education, there's a famous saying that a teacher often teaches like they were taught. You know, you've heard that, I'm sure. So, do you think that when a school is designed, the people that want the school are looking at a school like they were brought up in? They're looking for that school that they went to 30 years ago, or
I think tradition's a hard thing to break, and I think even somebody who might think they want to go the enlightened approach, I don't think that they have the history behind them to make that difference. I mean, the entire idea of still grouping kids in 25-person classes and teaching them for set periods of time, that's going to be the next big jump. It's going to be small groups, large groups, no bells, no time.
Yeah.
I really see that as the way to go, and that is the hard thing. How do we make the jump from the bells and cells to the
because it's
more
not
flexible space?
It's not just the building itself. You have to modify the mindset of the people using the building. So at Bay Architects, can you kind of give us an idea of what are some of the new ideas that you guys are putting into your schools that you're designing that you maybe you didn't see 10 years ago?
What we see a lot of now is the school as a learning tool. As we get into more sustainable features of the school, a lot of times the building itself and the grounds it's on is a large teaching instrument. Obviously technology is huge for us now. We thought it was big 10 years ago, and it just wasn't enough what we were doing then. So I think those things, and I think the flexibility is the hard one, as Calvin said. If we can convince the teachers to teach differently, one mistake we often make is we'll do a school and we'll move a bunch of teachers in that have 20 years experience teaching in a classroom.
Right.
And I wonder if that's the right idea to open a new school.
I always wondered that whenever a new, and I'll come back to you, Calvin, whenever a school is open, if we show a teacher a new textbook or we show a teacher a new reading something, we always in-service them and we always give them professional development on how that new something works. But I have never ever in my life seen professional development on a building. Here's our new building, here's how it works, here's how this space is used.
Buildings should be teachers also. It should have transparency. We ought to have, we have schools right now that have technology in them that kids can read the rate of flow of water and the use of water, electricity, the kilowatt hours that are being used. They've got all kind of stuff built in the wall. They do science experimentation. Let's shut down all the lights for 15 minutes. What does that do?
That's cool.
And we have visibility into the mechanical rooms, and all the pipes are marked with chill water, hot water flow, and so
the building itself is a learning experience.
Yeah, there should be graphics telling them why they have that floor material, why is it recyclable, what kind of insulation value we have in the roof.
Sure.
Why do we have a white roof for?
Why do we have so many windows? And why? Yeah.
Natural light. Why transparency? And on and on and on. And I think we're gravitating more and more to that in our profession and getting the building to be a teaching tool. I'll tell you a good example. Another good example is libraries or textbooks. What do we have textbooks for?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, come on, guys.
We got iPads. Why do we need textbooks?
I mean, people have not had textbooks in colleges and medical schools for years.
Right.
We still have textbooks.
Yeah.
Look at the libraries. 50% of the books have never been opened.
That's correct.
Some of them are 20 years old. No one's going to read them.
They got that dust on them, but we're still buying that stuff.
We still have space allocated to all that. And I've seen libraries in Florida and Arizona have notebooks, no hardcovers. If you want one, check one out. You just go up to the counter, say I want this book. Tomorrow morning they'll bring it from warehouse somewhere.
That's an awesome idea.
But everything's computerized. They have a home station. Everybody has they can check in with their number, their identification code, and have rights to that computer for as long as they want it. 24 hours a day, some of them.
That's awesome. And in some, I'm thinking with some technology, you could probably load most of every book in the library onto a device and just, if you want to check it out, here it is.
Here it is.
You can check out every book in the library all at once.
You can go to the library in Paris.
Exactly. Danny, tell me what, because I'm sure you've designed some schools in the past. What's your proudest school, and why are you? What's the one you're most proud of, and why?
Probably we just did an addition to Sabine Pass ISD down on the coast. Prior to my coming to the firm, we designed a beautiful building there that was it's raised above grade because they're in kind of a hurricane zone down there. And during the last hurricane, they completely lost their auditorium and gym.
That wasn't designed by us.
That was not designed by us. So we get to go back.
Ooh, that was a nice little dig there, Calvin. That was a good thing.
Well, it was old. It had been around for a long time, but we were able to go back and put in a brand new auditorium and gymnasium and science complex that is going to withstand the storms as well as our building.
Awesome. I noticed I was walking through this architectural area that they have set up here, architecture and design. Hi, Dr. Murphy, always moving in. I just can't get away from him. I don't know what it is. I noticed on some of the things, like some of these examples, it looks like they're making the student areas, like in the cafeterias and things, look more like places adults would go. Like they look more like cafes and
seating,
coffee houses and things like that. Is that a trend that you're seeing now? Is that to move the experience in the school to be a more out of school experience?
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of that. I think in the community schools and colleges it's already happened. I think that'll begin to catch on in the high school level.
Everything moves downhill. It flows downhill.
Yeah, it's you have a different kind of student as you go up in our educational system. You have more serious students.
Right.
You could argue. Maybe that's because we're not connecting up with all the other students in high schools, and YouTube and Facebook and all the things, other ways they learn. My grandkids can tell you every name of every football player in the NFL because they play this internet game.
Yep.
But they're learning that. Why aren't they? Can't they learn the same thing in other ways?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Calvin and Danny, thank you so much for talking with me this morning. And
Happy
you're
to
both
do it.
from Bay Architects in Houston, Texas. And Calvin, you're the boss, so you get to say goodbye. How's that?
Goodbye. Thank you, Tim.